Is there somebody over there? Somebody over there? Don't look suspicious. Don't look suspicious now. There's something over there. There's something over there. Alright, here we go. Look at the size of those shoes. Look at it like clogs. They're Air Nike Maxes, but this is definitely a woman. Okay, this moves like a woman. This lays pipe bombs just like a woman. But it's a spook, if I ever saw one, a deep state spook, just like a little girl, as the song goes. Look at, again, don't look suspicious. See how this is a woman's body. This is a woman's movement. Now, I understand there's been some homosexuality in Congress. There's been some liberals out there having that gay sex, I think, in some congressional, but I just heard about all this stuff, so I don't know. These days, the difference between man and a woman, I mean, it's a thin line with liberals, but this has got to be a woman. I mean, the whole body, everything about it. Watch this little stumble when they start to walk. I slowed it down here. And you'll see it just has this kind of lackadaisical movement like a woman, and this little arm swish that just totally says woman. And the shoes, they look like David Bowie glam rock platforms to give her like 3 or 4 inches of height. You know what I mean? And this is one of the decent camera footages we have that we suspect hasn't been tampered with, like the DNC footage. That is definitely tampered with. So they put the bag down. They couldn't look more suspicious than looking around. Now, on the map of where the pipe bomber went, they got out. They kind of cased the area. They did a dry run first, and then went back and dropped off the bombs, and then got onto a train using a Metro card from a retired Air Force chief who's now a security contractor who lives in Northern Virginia, and they took a ride on that and were picked up in a car that a camera got that we don't have the footage for, and that car is registered also to the retired Air Force Master Chief who's working as a security contractor whose name we don't know. We know this through an FBI whistleblower who was working the case, and when his team found all this out, they were basically told they were pulled off and sent on and then sent on some let's just say they were put in they were sent on a mission to the North Pole. You know, they were given nothing to do. Basically, they were just pulled off that because they had sniffed too far and found out too much. Which brings us to Karlin Younger, or as I like to call her, Lunch Break. The person who magically lived in the building the first bomb was dropped off in. 17 hours later, magically discovered it at magically the right moment before Congress is going to start holding hearings on this on the election results. And then here, hold on. I'm going to be quiet and let her talk for a second here. You got to listen to this chick. Here we go.
You're on that edge of, I don't want to bother anybody, right? Like, I want to make sure this is real. You don't want to go down as the person who evacuates a city block for a hoax, but at the same time, there was just enough of that gut instinct that said, this isn't a place that you'd put a hoax. I have to have somebody check this out.
Wait, what?
Right? Like, I want to make sure this is real. You don't want to go down as the person who evacuates a city block for a hoax, but right? Like, I want to make sure this is real. You don't want to go down as the person who evacuates a city block for a hoax.
Now, why would you be concerned about that, Lunch Break? Why would you twice say the word hoax? That you want to make sure it's not a hoax when you are perfectly placed as a former counterterrorism individual who worked in London while getting her graduate degree from Oxford in counterterrorism. It says in this one story, that's where she learned what a pipe bomb looked like. Well, I bet she did in London because there were some serious terror attacks around that time in the post 9/11 world when liberals were screaming that they were the religion of peace. So this individual is also a huge COVID vaxxer, masker, everybody wear your mask, hundreds of more died from COVID than World War II. If you go to her Facebook page, there are statements to that effect. She's a total Karen on those types of things. So believe me, she would have had no qualms whatsoever if she recognized a pipe bomb to go tell it to somebody. She wouldn't be worried about it being some kind of hoax. In other interviews with her, she gets even more. They just get wackier and wackier. Like she's saying, it reminded her of the Terminator movie. That's where she recognized the pipe, when she saw the Terminator, which came out when I was like 16 in 1985. She's about my age, and she very much talks herself up in a lot of this stuff while trying to play down that there's any kind of hoax here or anything like that. So she magically comes across the thing, and she magically has a background in counter-terror. But this is where it gets so weird with Lunch Break. Lunch Break just happens to be involved with a company that 2 weeks prior to her magical finding of the pipe bomb at the magic moment got $92 million from the FBI. And she's involved with another company that doxes conservatives. It's almost like it's an American version of the Swedish Jaeger website, which is a bunch of liberals in government and academia online trying to control the narrative. They don't want what they call a quote-unquote harmful narrative, which means anything conservative. And I personally know of a professor at University of Stockholm who lost her job because that website doxed her because she was tweeting pro-Trump things and also questioning the illegal asylum migrants inside Sweden who were raping all these Swedish women. There was like tons of rapes from all these migrants that the Swedish were giving asylum to, and just thousands of them. And piles of Sweden's a tiny country, but anyway, that particular company that she's involved with is called Pendulum. Pendulum is is the company that they want to set up to try and control the narrative online and suppress the quote unquote harmful narrative, which, like I said, is anything if you like Trump, that narrative's not good. Oh, they actually expressly said it was anything against COVID, anything against election integrity, so on and so forth. So this person, you couldn't pick a bigger deep state liberal than this individual with these ties to the deep state. And here she is living in the building that she magically walks around to the other side of to do her laundry during lunch. Sorry. And then fucking finds a pipe bomb. But this is the better. After this thing's been set for 17 hours. But this is the best part. Then she makes she calls it in, and when they come magically, not 10 or 15 minutes later, they find the second one at the DNC headquarters, where it just so happens Kamala Harris has her ass parked. Now, you didn't hear after this Kamala Harris come out and say anything about this because they wanted to keep this pipe bomb thing covered up. They've been investigating it for 3 years. No, they've been covering it up for 3 years. They've been stonewalling every FOIA request, every request to try and get chain of custody for these videos and everything. They staged the event, and now it's finally coming out that these people perpetrated this affair as a false flag operation, and now they're running from it like the wind. It's all avalanching down now, though. And now the footage that you're seeing here is what Revolver finally got. This is the DNC footage. 17 hours earlier, this individual, sitting on a park bench right by the DNC headquarters to plant the bomb for Kamala Harris. And this footage has been tampered with. So whatever happened here, this individual was made right here. This footage we only get 1 frame per second, and that's impossible. The lowest standard now is was 15 frames a second. That's what every gas station has. That's what every restaurant has. Everything has that. And the DNC, are you kidding me? Their headquarter building, site of Watergate a generation ago, it's only going to have 1 frame a second. That stuff goes back to like the early 90s. So it's total BS. Something happened with that footage there where the person's face got shown or something critical. And that, so what you're getting there has been doctored to the tune of at least 14 frames taken out every second. So that is crazy. And props to Darren Beatty and the people at Revolver. And they're the ones who've been, him in particular, have from the start been on this like white on rice, man. Like water is wet. They've been on it. And so and I'm not the only one that I see online who believes this individual is a woman. I've seen it commented upon because it just moves like a woman. And so that brings us back to Lunchbox. Lunchbox was the woman who found it. Lunchbox is knee deep in all the muck of all that deep state crap. Lunchbox is. I love this one woman on YouTube says she glows. She glows. That's the term I guess they use for a CIA agent. Where you've made one, where you found a spook. Or whatever that you can just tell. And anyway, the term that they use that she uses in the Free, I've seen people on Free Republic use as well, is glows. She says she glows like the sun. She glows and glows and glows and glows. So when you go check her out, first off, she got all these accolades. It virtually gave her the key to the fucking city in Madison, where she's from. And then she disappeared for a while. And then when our side started investigating all this, it took a long time because they were stonewalling on their side. And then the hearings that Massey and all these people held, they weren't these big televised hearings for some reason. They were behind closed doors, some of them, and all you could get was transcripts of them, And so Massey, after 900 days, had enough, and was asking for all. I mean, we don't even know if the bombs were real, and they probably weren't. The whistleblower said they weren't; they were fake. So when you look, where is she right now? She's in Canada, living it up, sucking marrow out of bones at fine restaurants. Saying she's just at a 4-star place with someone, and evidently who's taking these pictures. And just living it up. And I think if all this stuff were coming down right now, I'd want her out of the damn country as well if I were on their side. So it's unusual, but there it is. Yeah, what does this say on her jacket? Like when you get real close up, you think it's her name or something, like it's a monogrammed jacket. It says head. What does it say head on her jacket? But you know that they're a female Democrat in Washington, D.C. is going to know a lot about head. I promise you that. And that is no joke. I've known one who said, "Yeah, for real." That's the way to get ahead there. And anyway, I'm not going to go into names or anything like that. She worked in the Clinton administration, but it wasn't Clinton she had an issue with. It was a Democrat congressman after that who, we're not going there. Anyway. So she's out, she's supposedly in Canada, unless that's also false. You don't know what to believe with these people. But I'm not the first to point out that this woman, I'm not even close, could be the pipe bomb suspect. People were wanting to subpoena her 9 months ago. Like, check this out.
When something corrupt happens, there's openings and attack vectors. Mm-hmm. And there's a very easy attack vector. And I mean that in the most moral way, meaning trying to expose the lies that no one has properly exploited. The pipe bombs.
Yeah, this is, you've mentioned this, Tim.
Like the pipe bombs are the low-hanging fruit.
Who planted those bombs?
Both at the RNC and the DNC was obviously a federal agent. The bombs never went off. They haven't arrested anybody. They don't have a suspect of interest. They used geolocation, cell phone ping technology to find grannies that took selfies in the Capitol. Yet we don't have a suspect of interest for someone that could have created a smaller version of the Oklahoma City bombing at the RNC. That's highly suspicious. And so I've always said the pipe bombs are the key to the whole thing. You uncover who planted the pipe bombs, you're going to find a whole treasure trove of answers.
They use the pipe bombs to escalate charges. Are they
no one's been arrested. So remember, the RNC and DNC are about 3 blocks from Capitol Hill, and as the story goes, apparently the night, you could fact check me, but the night before or the morning of, a suspicious character at both the RNC and the DNC drops off some bags on the outside of it that were pipe bombs, and they never went off, they never detonated. But remember the sequence of events that happened that day, because it was all such a blur. But as the quote-unquote Capitol was being breached, almost simultaneously after Trump was, we all got push notifications that pipe bombs were discovered at both the RNC and the DNC. And that became a very de-emphasized part of the story, right? Which, by the way, if those bombs would have went off, would have been the most criminal intent that happened that entire day. That's legitimate political terrorism.
Yeah.
Like actual political terrorism, not someone that gets heated and gets in a shoving match outside of the Capitol Rotunda, right? Not someone that gets put into a mob frenzy, someone that goes through the intent of trying to create a pipe bomb and putting it outside of both the RNC and the DNC. Who does that? And not one person's been arrested. We have no suspects of interest. We haven't used the cell phone ping technology that we used to go find the grannies in the Capitol towards that. You want the answers on January 6th and the Fed's involvement? Look into the pipe bombs.
When you asked who does that, I was thinking, well, foreigner. It's the first time I've really thought that there would be foreign involvement with January 6th. But it wouldn't surprise me
if that's the case. I mean, maybe that's a foreign intelligence agency. Maybe it's a foreign actor. I have no idea. The fact the bombs didn't go off, and how did they find them too? And why did they find them almost the exact same time at the RNC and the DNC? They found them like, oh wow, we were gardening here and there's a bomb.
And what it did was it created a
diversion,
a pretext for the evacuation of Congress,
that's
congressional buildings, an hour
to
before
cause panic amongst Congress.
No, to evacuate them 1 hour before the Capitol was actually breached to minimize actual harm to members of Congress. So AOC told her.
So the person who posted that Charlie Kirk video on Timcast 9 months ago said to subpoena her. So they probably know. But Charlie Kirk didn't know it at the time, but they did geolocate, ping, even listen in, or tried to, supposedly, to that phone. We didn't know this until much, much later. They said the phone was being scrambled, not on purpose, by its carrier. So unfortunately, they couldn't get any data on it. So the phone was completely picked up in this blanket of surveillance that they had there the night before, but it was scrambled. But it's not anybody's fault. It's not the carrier's fault. But unfortunately, they just they don't have any information about the individual. And the Tim guy on that show is correct. The pipe bomb served three purposes, but there's one main one. Massey pointed out just recently, like within the last couple of weeks, that that when they quote unquote found the second one, and you can go see the video on that, it's completely fake. This whole thing was rigged. When you see that video, you know this is all fake. Just watch. I'm not going to take another 20 minutes and go into that, but you know it's fake then. This whole thing really started coming unraveled when the second video was released, and you see the non-reaction that the Secret Service has when being told there's a pipe bomb over there. They actually let kids walk by it, and it's supposedly by Kamala Harris, but they don't do anything about it for 5 or 10 minutes. So anyway, the purpose of the pipe bomb was also to boost the charges, which it did. You saw the guy ask that question, will it boost? It did boost. So people started getting these crazy sentences handed down because the pipe bomb was a deadly weapon, and really, like he said, the only deadly weapon there. So it kind of added gravity to the situation, and all these liberal judges and juries that were involved in this just fucking hated those people, but they had the ability legally to sentence them longer because of the pipe bombs. Made it a kind of a murderous affair almost, and so it added gravity to the situation. But it also disrupted Congress as they were voting on this business with the election, and apparently that was the big deal. There was a black guy in Congress, a Democrat, when they were voting on something he didn't want them to vote on. He threw the fire alarm. I don't know if you remember that, but I don't know if it was related to January the 6th, but he threw the fire alarm, and Congress had to evacuate, and he's like, oh, it was an accident. That's how Democrats are. If they want to block a vote or block a debate on anything, they'll just do this. They'll do a false flag operation with a pipe bomb. Or in when we're debating about COVID, they'll have cities being burned down and egg on rioters and stuff, across America to go bananas for BLM and Antifa and them to go all crazy. And so anyway, that was what the whole Trump rally was there for, was because they were protesting that the election was illegal and Congress was debating on it, and I believe they were casting a vote about it, and it kind of ended that debate. And then the third and probably most important reason is when the timing with that was such that they were gonna put out hundreds of these bike rack barricades. And they did not. All of a sudden, they became worried about pipe bombs, so they told the Capitol Police not to do that. And apparently, those hundreds of bike rack would have totally sealed off the Capitol, or one side of it anyway. Nobody could have gotten in from those hundreds of bike barricades. That's why in the videos you just see one or two of those metal bike rack barricades here and there. You don't see hundreds of them. There was going to be a sea of them put out, but that all got shit canned whenever they got the pipe bomb alert. So pipe bombs really served their purpose. I think primarily it was for that debate going down, and so to create this this image of the MAGA terrorist. You know what I mean? So it's one thing about this false flag operation. We're not quite Russia yet. I want to point out that Putin came to power with a false flag operation involving bombs, where the FSB. Here's the deal with it. Yeltsin was going into the sunset, okay, but he needed someone to take over for him and keep his oligarchs safe. And you've got to have a guy come in after you who is going to protect you, or you're going to get assassinated. And so Putin was that guy. He trusted Putin, and there was an election coming up. Putin was not going to win that election, so they had to do something. So what they did was they staged a false flag operation where they planted bombs in all these apartment buildings in Moscow and blew away hundreds and hundreds of Russians, if I remember correctly, and they blamed it on Chechen terrorists. So it was kind of like a false flag terrorist event that they blamed on Chechnya, and he, seized emergency powers, canceled the election, and came into power, turning Chechnya into rubble. Well, when that was all going down, they discovered some bombs that the FSB had planted that were easily traced back to the FSB, KGB, but they had not gone off. They had malfunctioned. And the FSB said, it was just a test. We were just testing. It was a terrorist test, like to see, if anyone would find them. We were just going through a drill. And this whistleblower FBI guy, who's gotten kind of shit canned from this investigation regarding these pipe bombs, said that when he believes that when they come clean about it, that their excuse is going to be, it was all just a test. So we'll see on that. I think it's a bit too far down into it for them to do that. But we're not quite Russia yet. As the late Boris Nemtsov said before Putin had him assassinated, he said, corruption is a problem in America. In Russia, it's the system. So only when if the day comes when liberals run this country will it be the system. It's the system where they are. It's the system in their cities and things. That's why they have these basket case cities. But it won't be. For now it's a problem, but we've got to confront it. Before it mutates into the system. And this is the last bit of video of the agent provocateur pipe bomber. Check this out. Watch this. You see that? You see how the arms came out? There's a car coming from the opposite direction. It might be a police cruiser. But the person obviously gets nervous and, this very artificial manner, just stretches their arms like, nothing to see here, But anyway, we'll close with that, and that's this should all start coming if you follow Darren Beattie, former Trump administration official, and certainly Thomas Massey and all those guys in Congress doing God's work to try and get all this information and footage out. You'll see this thing. It should start to develop over the next few days or a few weeks. Who knows? As long as it takes to get the information out, and hopefully we'll see who this individual is. I'm saying it's probably her. It's definitely a woman, so it's got to be her. But that's my bet. We'll see if I win or not.